When you're finding yourself in those like points of panic or of unknowing or fear, or you just feel like a chicken with your head cut off, don't be afraid to sit still and listen. And trust me, I know that sometimes that can be so hard. Don't sit still and try to listen to your head. Sit still and listen to your heart or to your stomach, not to your head. And whatever answer you're looking for will come to you.
Are you confident? Do you have consistency? How much conviction do you have? I'm Daniel Gomez, the Confidence Architect, a business strategist, keynote speaker, executive coach, and best-selling author. On the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show, we will help you unlock confidence to create consistency and develop conviction. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence. Welcome to the Daniel Gomez Inspire Show. Today, I have an incredible guest. This woman is dear to my heart. She's so loving, so caring. And when I met her, actually over a year ago already, almost going on 2 years actually, she's just been a huge blessing in my life. And I'm honored to have her a guest today on our show. And we're going to get a lot of great value, a lot of great just ideas. She's so brilliant. And what I love about her is she's so humble about it. But we're going to bring out the greatness in her. She's an amazing, amazing person. And let's welcome to the show, Miss Kim Sutton. Welcome to the show, Miss Sutton.
Oh my gosh, Daniel, thank you so much. I feel like everything that you've taught me over the past few years has come back and bit you a little bit in the butt because you've taught me how to be more confident, and I've been using it on you.
Oh, man, I know. It's funny because actually we're going to talk about confidence today, too, and especially your confidence has just grown. But do me a favor before we get started here. We're going to have an amazing just a conversation and a lot of great content's going to come out. But let the world know, who is Kim Sutton?
So I always start with, I'm a mom of 5, and I know that there's some mompreneurs or entrepreneurs who are also moms who cringe at that, but it's so critical to what I do. And I'm a marketing automation and business automation strategist. And my goal is to get people away from their computers and back to the people and activities that they love. And that is so important to me. And Daniel, you know this story because I went through a serious bout of sleep deprivation, which led me into severe anxiety and depression. And in July of 2016, I was suicidal. And I don't ever want to see other entrepreneurs who are in that state, and even worse, that actually act on it, because there's so many options. There's so many people who want to support you. And if we just set ourselves up with the right systems and the right support, then we can achieve any of our dreams.
You know, you just said something that I realized we've had a lot of conversations, me and you, Kim. And not once in the past going on 2 years have you told me you were suicidal. That's, wow. I think we're going to touch that a little bit today, because I think right now in the times that we're in, people need to see, how do I come out of this suicidal? And I say that because when I was 18 years old, I tried to kill myself. I shot myself. And many people don't know that about me because for almost, I would say actually over 20 years, I never talked about it. And the reason it came out was because I was speaking at a high school assembly, and we were just talking, and all of a sudden, I don't know what drove me to talk about that, but I just went back to that day when I shot myself. And it was amazing because I think it was a proper time for it to come out, because so many teenagers came up, and there was this one particular girl that came up to me and said, "You just saved my life." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Yeah, like with the words you just said, saved my life." And I think for myself, I was embarrassed to talk about trying to kill yourself because it's not something you want to brag about. Let's be real. And I'm glad you brought that up. So if you don't mind, I would love to start there with you. You made a comment about that you've really grown in confidence, but let's go back to that point when you thought about being suicidal, as to how your confidence is built up and how did you get out of there? And let's talk about that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so that was stage immediately following that, and I'll lead up to that point in just a second. Immediately after that was stage 1 of confidence building, and after you was stage 2. But leading up to that point, I had been in business for 4 years, and I was so caught up in everything that I saw on the internet, what everybody else was doing, all the successes that they were having, their 6 and 7 figure launches, their huge teams, their pretty pictures on Instagram. And there was this part of me that felt like I was doing something wrong because my life did not look like that. My husband and I couldn't get a mortgage on our home, and we were facing getting evicted from what is now the home that we've bought. But the landlord got tired of waiting for us to get our mortgage. Our car had been repossessed. We were having trouble paying any of our bills. And it was all coming out of a lack of confidence, a lack of knowing my value, an ever present scarcity mindset that led me to say yes to everybody and everyone. And Daniel, I didn't get over that in 2016 because you saw some of it in 2018 and still through a good portion of 2019. But up until that point, I was saying yes to absolutely everybody and everyone, to the point that I was working 20 to 22-hour days. I was falling asleep at my desk. My husband told me he saw more of the back of my head than he did of my face. And sleep deprivation does wicked things. And it led me into that suicidal state.
So what did you learn about Kim Sutton and that season? Because I've been there, but I think for me, it was more of it was suppressed emotion. But in that moment, what was going on?
I felt like it needed to be somebody else. And I wasn't willing to be somebody else. So rather than try to be somebody else, I was just ready to give up trying, period. And that's a really horrible spot to be in. I was ashamed to tell my husband how I was feeling because he was always my biggest supporter. And I felt like a failure. I mean, I'm a mom of 5, and we could barely keep food on the table. I had frequented food pantries, and there's nothing more humbling than showing up at a food pantry when I work as much as I do, or in any situation. Please know that I'm not saying to anybody that if you need help, that you shouldn't go get it. By all means, go get the support and the help that you need. So whether it's applying for food stamps or being on medical assistance or childcare assistance, do what you have to do so that you can live, is all I'm saying. But yeah, I was just ready to give up. And then,
You said something amazing. I want to touch base for the audience is that when you start comparing yourself to other people, you don't realize it, but it's kind of like gaining weight to me. Nobody really sees themselves gaining weight. It's all of a sudden you wake up that morning, that blouse don't fit you, that dress don't fit you, your jeans don't fit you, right? Your t-shirt doesn't fit you, or you put on that suit and you're like, oh crap, what happened?
right.
And you gain that weight and you don't even realize it because it's a process. And what I've seen just with me coaching my clients is that a lot of times what you're saying is when you start to compare yourself to somebody, you actually start to conform to them and you don't even realize it because you're gravitating towards those pictures, towards those images, towards that lifestyle that they're posting. And half of the stuff isn't even true that I've come to know. But the sad part about it is without us even realizing it, just the way we gain weight, we conform to the images that they portray and we try to emulate and imitate them. And when we imitate them, that's where a lot of people's unhappiness comes in because we try to measure up to somebody that isn't even real, first of all. And second of all, it's like, I wasn't created to be Kim Sutton. I wasn't created to be Anthony Robbins. I wasn't created to be, say, a friend of ours, Sean Douglas. I was created to be Daniel Gomez.
Right.
And I think when people realize that, when you stop comparing, you stop conforming. Why don't you talk about that a little bit, if you don't mind?
So it's really interesting. And I love that you say that because at that time in 2015, 2016, I was watching this awesome female entrepreneur, Kim Luna, and was always memorized by all these huge launches that she had. However, her personality and my personality are very, very different. She's not afraid to tell people exactly what's on her mind. And it serves her well. I mean, she's also very visual, and she's covered with tattoos. She's got piercings. She cut her hair off and dyed it some crazy color. And she would always have these huge launches. And one day I said to my husband, I said, what do I need to do? Just cut my hair off and dye it turquoise? And he said to me, you are Kim, you are not Kimra. People are waiting to hear you. So forget about her and just be yourself. And I shared that story with her after the fact. And she says, you wouldn't believe how many people think that in order to get the success that I've had, that they need to be me instead of being themselves. And it's just so sad. I want to fast forward a little bit, though, if you don't mind. The week that I launched my podcast, so it was about 4 months later, and then my passage out of that suicidal state was just a very spiritual experience. It was amazingly beautiful, and God had his hand in it. I know he did. Fast forward to the week that I launched my podcast, the Positive Productivity Podcast, that same week she put out a post on social media how she had been struggling with anxiety and depression for months and months and months. She had lost clients. She had not been showing up. She had not been delivering it. She had been hiding. There were so many days that she went back to bed and covered her head up with her covers. Every single thing that she talked about in that post was something that I had experienced 4 months before. And I talked about it in my launch podcast without even knowing that she had gone through it. And in that very moment, I felt, I don't know if redeemed's the right word, Daniel, but I felt good that I hadn't hidden it, because I knew that it needed to be shared. And that's where I've gotten a lot of awesome feedback, is that by not being afraid to share the good, the bad, and the very ugly, I've been able to connect to a lot more people than I would have if I only showed the pretty pictures. I mean, I talk about how I can't cook. I show the laundry piles on the couch. I show my dirty car.
I love that. I love that because let's face it, we live in a world where everybody just posts pictures that they want to post. And I can honestly say it brings back a story that I heard about this one gentleman, and he was being honest. And he was talking about how him and his family went on vacation. They were like at the beach and on this boat. And it was funny, but it was true. It was sad in a sense, because he was honest. He said, instead of enjoying the vacation with my family, it's like every picture that I took, I retook it like 12 times. He goes, I'm not even joking. And he reflected back to a picture of him and his daughter, where he actually got mad at his daughter because he was like, smile the right way, do this right. And it's just, the daughter's like, Dad, she had to have been like 8 or 10 years old, and she's just a kid. But he said, by the time I posted the picture, it had taken him, no joke, he said, it took me at least 15 to 20 minutes. Think about that. And he goes, and then when I did that, it's like, I didn't really see it, but now that I look back, how foolish or stupid or dumb was I? Because he said, I realized that they were up there 3 days, 2 of those 3 days, he goes, I didn't even enjoy it, because instead of being in a moment, I was trying to impress people that really don't even deserve to be, not that he didn't say they deserve to be impressed, but it's like he missed out on the opportunities with his family, with his daughter that were right there. And he goes, what am I teaching her by taking all these? So am I teaching her to be insecure? And sometimes when we do these things, we don't realize that our children are right there and they're learning from us. And you said that, and it's just amazing to me, because half the stuff that we see out there on social media, it's not their cars, it's not their clothes, not even their clothes. I saw somebody wrap somebody else at it. It's just funny. But I want to thank you for being just totally honest with that, Cam.
You're very welcome. My son, he's 14 now, and I think it was about 3 years ago, he said to me, so this was after all that had happened, he says, Mom, when is your business going to be as successful as that guy that I see on YouTube all the time with the big house and all the cars? And I said, I don't know if I'm going to get there, but I also don't know that he's there either. We don't know how much credit card debt he's in. We don't know how much debt period he's in. We don't know that that's not actually his, not rented for the day, along with those girls that are standing by the car. So we can either be ourselves and be proud of it, or we can rent something to make ourselves feel better. And yeah. So
that's, and you're right, because even on YouTube, a lot of stuff the videos, it's like, you don't know what's real and what's not. And I think I'm glad you said that, because like I said, too many of us, we try to live up to an expectation, and then have those people. And I say this because I was real fortunate I traveled so much in 2019, and I saw a lot of speakers and coaches' lives behind the scene. And it's like, it's amazing when you kind of get to know some people, and you're like, wow, like you see who they are. And the reason this young lady that you were talking about, I've never met her, so I don't know her about the turquoise. But what happens is sometimes when somebody grows so fast, they tumble and they fall. And this is 2 reasons. Is because A, they don't have the character to sustain the blessing. They don't have the character. And so they make decisions that go against their integrity, but just to continue to grow and be famous, to say they give up their integrity and they don't have the character, so that the foundation falls and crumbles. And then the second thing is many people don't have the capacity. When,
Mm-hmm.
and what I mean by that is when you grow so fast like that, you don't have the capacity to receive everything that's coming over your way, and you feel overwhelmed all of a sudden. We're human beings, we're creatures. Most of us react. And when you react, you feel overwhelmed. So you just hide
Yeah.
underneath your sheets, like you were saying. So let's fast forward. So let's go back to, because right now I really want to talk about what did Kim start to do to start really like, boom, finding her confidence? Because I think a lot of women right now, a lot of men have lost their confidence, what we're going through right now in the beginning of 2020. And I really want you to just talk about what are some steps that Kim Sutton took to really find her confidence, because you're not the same Kim that I knew when I met back in 2018. Let me tell you.
It was a whole bunch of baby steps, from first just setting up my boundaries. And then step 2 was actually sticking to them. To our dear listeners who are listening, like I actually told Daniel one day, I'm still sleeping when you text me at 6:00 in the morning. Could you email me if you have a message to send to me that early? And I'm not trying to throw you under the bus here at all, Daniel, because you were excited, as you're always excited about your ideas. But it took me way too long to have the courage to say that to you, because I was afraid I was going to make you upset. And then I realized, but I know who he is, and he wouldn't be upset if he knew that I'd been scared to tell him that, I'm still sleeping, so please stop because you're waking me up. you know, and it's just funny little things, like we get wrapped up in our assumptions of what we think is a reality instead of just sharing our feelings because we're scared. So, setting up my boundaries, sticking to
So
them.
elaborate on, because I want somebody to kind of get in depth. So if you don't mind going a little bit more in depth, describe more. What do you mean by your boundaries?
I was available for everybody outside of my house 24/7. If a client emailed me, texted me, Skyped me, Facebook messaged me, whatever, at 2:00 in the morning, I would roll over and immediately respond. I would likely still be awake working on their stuff because that's how I was. But then 2018 was very rough. Even though I had already started working, I had reclaimed my sleep, but that didn't mean I was working any less. Okay, let me refine. I was still more available to my clients than I was to my family. So at the end of the year, I realized, oh my gosh, I've had dinner with my family 10 times this year. There's 7 of us.
Wow.
Including a set of twins. So there's 6 birthdays because 2 of them share: Christmas, New Year's, Easter, and Thanksgiving. That's the 10 dinners that I had eaten with my family all year. So when I set up my boundaries and started to stick with them, I had to make it really clear. I am available between 10 and 5. You may or may not get a response from me after these hours, but these are my working hours. Starting to reclaim my weekends was amazing. And at first I was getting text messages, Kim, did you see this, Kim? And it was not Daniel. I just need to say that.
Thank you. They're probably saying, man, Daniel was a meanie.
No, it was absolutely not you. But and at first, me, when I get overwhelmed, as do many people, I tend to back off and put myself in a closet and not say anything. But to that one, Kim, did you get this? I finally got the courage to say, yes, I have reclaimed my nights and weekends. I will get back to you on Monday morning. Oh, silence. Light went on. Kim's a person too, and she wants her nights and weekends just like I do. Well, yeah. And then I had to start putting it, I had always been respectful to my team, but I realized the same had to be done for them. If I had something to share, I'm not going to Facebook message them or text them on the weekend or send them a message through teamwork. I'm going to email them and say, hey, get back to me on Monday, or whenever, because I'm not pushy. I'm not a micromanager. Just get it done. So setting up those things, and then also understanding my value. That was probably the biggest shift that I had to make, was understanding that I was undercharging because I was scared about not having enough to feed my family. So I was still saying yes, even though it was in my genius zone. I was accepting less than my worth because I was afraid that the next opportunity wouldn't come. But then I realized, number one, I was working outside of integrity with myself, and I was working with people who were not in integrity themselves. And I had to say farewell. And you've seen that journey.
Yeah.
But out of that journey.
So let's go to the money. I don't mean to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but I want to touch on that point because most people don't realize this, but they don't have confidence in money.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is they have that, they don't have a good relationship with money. They don't see money as a positive. They really don't. And thereof, you don't have the confidence to say, I deserve this money. Talk about that, because I've seen an evolution in you. And I think for our audience right now, when our relationship changes with the way we see money and how we value money and what money can do for us, because we focus on the bad of money, right? We think that rich people are wicked.
Right.
And I heard something actually this morning that was pretty awesome. It says, it's okay to have wealth. It's actually great to have wealth, to own it, just as long as the wealth doesn't own you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think too many people, the wealth owns them and it takes over their identity. And that's where the egotistic comes in. So how did you gain your confidence when it came to money?
Okay, well, you were very instrumental in that. So in, what was it, early 2019, late 2018, you introduced me to Danny Johnson and Spirit-Driven Success. So I read that. And one of the things that she talks about, or a few of the things, and please help me out with this part, I need to read it every year. It's about time I read it again. The Bible never says anything about being poor, number one. Number two, the more we make, the more we can serve. So, if I'm, and number three, actually, sorry for the broken thoughts, I need to work as though I'm working for God. And I can't work as though I'm working for God if I'm not charging enough, and I need to take on too much work, so I can't give each person the attention they deserve. So those three added up together. One of the most pivotal moments for me, though, was I was thinking back to when I became an Infusionsoft certified partner in 2014, and all the people that I was there with were talking about, not all of them, but a lot of them were talking about how they charge $250 an hour or what have you. When I left there, I was thinking, okay, well, those people, they live in New York and California, and their cost of living is higher. So, let them charge that much. But I live in Ohio, so I can get away with charging $50 because I don't need that much. Well, it's not about how much I need. It's about how much the service is worth. If I set up a campaign and I do it well, that campaign can go and make the client millions. Realistically, it's not how much my cost of living is. If we're going to value what we charge people based upon our cost of living, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. And then we have to take on more work. So in 2019, I was thinking about that, and I realized I was still having to take on too much work. I was not charging $50 an hour anymore. But I went to my primary client and I said, look, I need to raise my rates. And that client said to me, well, you need to remember who's sending you most of your work. And I realized in that very moment, okay, I am not working inside my integrity. I'm not treating myself with integrity, and they are not working in integrity either. So peace out. That was step one. I learned that from my husband.
I love that. And so whoever's listening right now, there comes a time when you got to understand that if somebody doesn't see your worth, if somebody doesn't see your value, it's okay to walk away, because that's what Kim's saying right now. She had to have the courage, the boldness, the confidence, boom, there it is, to walk away from a relationship. And just because you've been, say one of your big clients is or somebody that you collaborate with is somebody you've been in partnership or business with for maybe a year, 2, 5, even 8, 10 years. If those people don't see the value in you, and they know for a fact that the going rate, we'll just say in this case is $250 an hour, and they're paying you only $50, well then, hey, what's going on here? That's not right, So have the confidence, have the boldness to walk away. Kim, I thank you, because I think somebody listening right now has been tolerating a work friendship or just a relationship where they've been manipulated and taken advantage of.
Yep.
And they don't see how can I say, they don't value them. And it's okay to walk away, like Kim is saying. So thank you so much for sharing that. Continue going. I'm sorry. I just wanted to really just point out that's a gold nugget right there. That's a huge takeaway right there.
Well, because I was still sticking around with that, because I was in scarcity mindset, I was still working too much. So when I let that go and found myself getting more and more time as the work involved with that client was finished, I started to have more time, and having that much more time gave me the freedom and the bandwidth. I started speaking. I spoke at Podfest and She Podcasts, and that's something that I wouldn't have been able to even consider had I been staying in that relationship. And then I got the biggest client ever out of speaking. Had I known, a year and a half before, that it wouldn't be as hard as I was assuming it would be to move on, I would have left earlier. But I was stuck in this place of scarcity mindset of, oh, I'm not going to be able to find as much. Oh, I'm not going to be able to find anything this good. And
Yeah.
then God came up and kicked me in the butt and said, are you listening now?
So let me ask you this. Now, at this point where we're at here today on this podcast, on a scale of 1 to 10, where is Kim's confidence right now? 10 being the strongest, 1 being the weakest.
My confidence is a 10, with the exception that we are in some pretty interesting times, but I know that God has a plan for me. And as long as I don't go hide myself underneath my covers again, then I'll be fine. So everything I need will be provided. And I need to keep on moving forward. I need to keep on being authentic. I need to keep on sharing, the good, the
I love
bad,
that.
and the ugly out of the Sutton house. And as long as I do that and I stay authentic and work in integrity, then all will be fine. It's when I try to be somebody who God did not create me to be that I'll struggle. So I will not slip back into that again.
I love that. And what I love about it is you didn't even realize, you didn't even hesitate. You just said it. And I love that, because I can see that your confidence levels come up. And you said something right now that was pretty profound, is even though we don't know what lies ahead, you're still moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
And when you said that, what comes to mind is something I like to talk about also on the show, is consistency. Because when you're moving forward, you're being consistent in something. What does the word consistency mean to you, Kim Sutton?
Always moving and sticking to the promises that I make myself, actually. So, and I know that's more of integrity, but that's consistency and integrity are working together this year for me. And I really need to, if I tell myself I'm going to do something, I need to do it consistently. I mean, some people say that habits are formed after 28 days. I don't think so. And people talk about falling off the wagon when it comes to drinking. I keep on falling off my bike when it comes to exercise. One of these times I'll make it through 3 months, but I still struggle. But I need to do my best and stay consistent. And the biggest part of that is, for me, it's okay to work on my work first. So by consistently giving myself time, even self-care time, spiritual time first before I work on anything else during the day, that's how I need to stay consistent so I can move forward.
Do you think many people, they don't see that instant gratification, that instant result, and they give up way too soon, to where if they would have been consistent, the outcome would have been totally different? Does a story come to mind for maybe one of your clients that you're like, man, just be patient, or hey, this is going to work? And don't say Daniel Gomez, because I know sometimes I was impatient. I got you there.
I was about to say, you mean like you? Well, yeah, there's so many times, and because I work on marketing automation, there's so many times that the clients, their funnel's built, and now they're like, okay, well, why isn't anybody coming to it? And then I just had to remind them.
Under your breath. I heard that.
But I have to, and it's not just you. I mean, it's probably 75% of people that I work with. And I have to remind them, this is not the field of dreams. We're not Kevin Costner. This is not, if you build it, they will come. I have to remind myself that we have to be out there constantly driving traffic. We have to be visible. We have to be sharing our authentic selves and sharing our message. Right now, I'm reading Superfans by Pat Flynn.
Yes.
And amazing book. And he's talking about, sharing and bringing the community in. I'm absolutely loving it. But if we're not out there being visible, and that was one of my problems, I kept on, I was financially struggling. So I would come up with a new product idea. I would spend 3 days building the landing page. And, that's a problem. When I know how to do all the building myself, then I think this is going to be the solution. So I would spend 3 days building out the landing page and all the automation. And then I would go drop it into a Facebook group that I hadn't been present in for months and months and months, thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get some mad sales. And then I would hear crickets. Well, it's because I hadn't been in there and engaging with people. I hadn't built a community. I had no relationship with them. And all of a sudden I come in there and I drop a bomb and I leave again.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Like the next time you're on Facebook or LinkedIn, if you see somebody who's just come up and dropped a bomb of a sale that they're having, I don't mean to be mean, but it's pretty desperate. It's a sure sign of, okay, well, I wasn't doing what I needed to do. And I know the times are interesting right now, but seriously, if we're working on what we need to consistently and constantly driving traffic and constantly building community, then we shouldn't have as much of the roller coaster ride. And I'm still trying to get off the roller coaster. I've downgraded from the super terror to somewhere between super terror and the kiddie roller coaster now, but I want to get to the kiddie ride.
Yeah, well, something that you just said, I love that about you, because something that I've learned from you actually, that because sometimes I believe you can be too confident and it becomes a little bit arrogant. And I know there was a couple of things that you suggested to me that I wasn't open-minded to, but what you're saying is 100% correct. Because what I've learned from this wonderful guest on my show right now, Ms. Kim Sutton, is that to really give something of value. And I think since this whole epidemic started, I started giving away my free training, the 7 Steps to Flying Daily. And you'd be surprised. I have my LinkedIn assistant that she sends these messages. It's a free training, 7 Steps to Flying Daily. And it just feels good when I see these emails come in every week and say, Daniel, wow, thank you so much for this free training. And it's something that I could have easily sold for $47, $97, but it's like, why sell it right now when people need that encouragement? And I truly believe, because I have my assistant like sending literally probably about 75 messages a week. And I get these emails, well, these are my affirmations, Daniel, because you set that up and you're like, well, share with me your affirmations and I'll tell you mine. And I never really realized the small print on that, but it's like I started getting all these emails like, here are my affirmations. I'm like, what is this for? So I went back and I really saw it. I'm like, oh, Kim set it up that way. But it makes you feel good when you give something of value for free and it really just impacts their life. And people, it goes back to that one quote from Angela. I can't think of her last name, but it says, people will always forget what you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel.
Mm-hmm.
People will forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Right now, whether you're in business or just in a friendship or in your marriage, you really got to serve the other people that are in front of you, because when you give right now is a real time to come together. And that's kind of what I hear you say right now. So awesome. And that's what I love, right? So when you have the confidence, it builds the consistency in your life and your business. And then that really just edifies your convictions. So what are 2 convictions that Kim Sutton stands by?
Truth and integrity. And I know they could be interchanged a little bit, but the truth can hurt sometimes, but you have to stand behind the truth.
What's an example of that? When you said that was the first thing that came to mind. So when you say truth and it hurts, what is that? Give us an example of that, if you don't mind.
Here's an example of truth hurting. I try on a shirt and my husband looks at it and says, sweetie, you've gained just a little bit too much. And that's probably not the best shirt to get on video with today. That's where it could be a little bit painful, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I've experienced where people are in a tough spot, so they will lie to get what they think they need at the expense of other people. And I don't think that's just going to hurt that person in the long run here. I think it's going to hurt them wherever they go in their next life. I know where I want to go, after my time here is done.
Yes.
But I had a situation where a client said I didn't build their funnel and what I was hired to do. And I totally did. And then I ended up having to refund because they lied about me. And the way that it impacted my family was devastating initially. But I have to tell you that by sticking to me and my integrity, it came back and I was rewarded in the long run. So I had to stick to my truth and to my integrity and not bow as low as other people want to. And by that, I was able to climb up. But I know that this other person is still struggling and will probably continue to struggle for a long time if that's how they want to build their business, their brand, and their life.
Wow, that was pretty powerful.
You know this story, Daniel, and I just want to inspire some people.
Yeah.
As a result of having a refund for a product that I created, we fell behind on our mortgage and ended up in foreclosure. And after 2 months, you can't give partial payments. The mortgage company doesn't want partial payments. I'm the sole breadwinner. My husband's a disabled vet. And so we get 6 months behind, and our only option is to go to the mortgage company and say, can you help? Like, what are our options here? So they ended up doing a reassessment on our mortgage, and they came back. They rolled the past due to the end of our mortgage. They gave us 2 months to prepare for our next mortgage payment, and they dropped our interest rate by 2 points. So whereas, and I'm just going to throw out numbers here, whereas I had to refund $2,500, which is no longer what I charge because I no longer undervalue my time and my services. Whereas I had to refund $2,500, it's going to come back and give us like way beyond that over the term of our mortgage.
Yeah, I love that. And so, did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Her conviction is to be a woman, a mother, a businesswoman of integrity. That's her conviction. And I think when you have a conviction like integrity and you stand by that, they always go back. And I used to say this to my team when I was running an organization. It's okay to lose the battle. So you lost a battle to this client.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though she was lying or whatever this case was, you were a woman of integrity and you did that. And because you did that, the honest thing was you got rewarded for standing by what your convictions were. And I love that because it's a hard thing. I've been there before, and it's never easy to walk away from a big amount of, because let's face it, $2,500, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But something that comes to mind when we're talking about this is whatever you've mastered, you can walk away from.
Yep.
And once you've mastered money, it just shows that you can be trusted with more. So I see amazing, amazing things coming into your future. And I just want to applaud you for being a woman of integrity because I see that in you. And I just want to say thank you for being an amazing person, an amazing friend, and for always being there for me.
Thank you.
We're coming towards the end of our show, and I want you to share a word of wisdom that Kim Sutton can share with the audience, with our amazing audience, to really just, whatever it may be, it doesn't have to be business, it doesn't have to be personal, whatever comes to mind first, just leave us with the word of wisdom, if you don't mind.
When you're finding yourself in those like points of panic or of unknowing or fear, or you just feel like a chicken with your head cut off, don't be afraid to sit still and listen. And trust me, I know that sometimes that can be so hard. Don't sit still and try to listen to your head. Sit still and listen to your heart or to your stomach, not to your head. And whatever answer you're looking for will come to you.
I love that. I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're thinking about growing or building a funnel or having to do something with automation, Kim, I've used her personally. I've worked side by side with her going on 2 years already. And she is a woman of integrity. So I definitely highly recommend you reach out to her. I recommend you seek her out. And Kim, if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
The best place to find everything is at thekimsutton.com. I had to take the Kim Sutton because somebody already took kimsutton.com and they're not using it. But thekimsutton.com is where you can find info on my services, my podcasts, all my social media links, and a whole bunch of freebies.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to leave my audience with this is remember, we always try to bring you great quality where it's going to build your confidence, build your consistency, and build your conviction and help you find your convictions. And I want to thank everybody for listening to our show today. But remember this, nothing is carved in stone. And just the way Kim said, when you stand by your convictions, you're going to be rewarded in the long run. So that's a wrap for today's show. And thank you for joining us. This is Daniel Gomez, and thank you so much for tuning into our show today. We'd love your feedback.
Please drop us a comment, and thank you for leaving us a review. Don't forget to subscribe to our show and share this episode with a friend. And my free gift for listening to our show today is a copy of my best-selling book, You Were Born to Fly. To get your free copy, go to DanielGomezInspires.com and get your copy today. That's DanielGomezInspires.com. And to elevate your life and business even more, follow me on social media at Daniel Gomez Inspires on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Together, we will discover the key that unlocks your confidence.